Hey, good morning, folks. We're going to continue working on artwork for the upcoming adventure we're publishing on DMsGuild called Crystals of Mabar. So give me a hot second here to check my signal, make sure I'm coming through okay. I'll go through a quick intro spiel, and then we'll get to work here this morning. Mic check, 1, 2, 3. Mic check, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, sounds like I have a voice still. That's wonderful. I'm going to punch some buttons here on the social medias and regale you with my story of glory. Hold on here real quick. It sounds like I can still hear myself. Let's see if I can tune that down a little bit more. I don't want to mute the thing because apparently that self-cancels, but I don't want it to be just echoing in the background. So there's that. And okay, so I'm going to press some buttons and talk real quick. Hey, my name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games. I illustrate them. I publish them online. I've been a dungeon master playing D&D since 1987. And I've been creating content on DMsGuild since 2017 when the Ravnica setting came out. I thought there was going to be some sort of like a Magic the Gathering color magic crossover from MTG into D&D. And when that didn't happen, that got me interested in creating content for 5th edition, starting with the Color Mana Spell Point variant rules, which is linked in the description down below if you're interested. But more relevant to any other conversation here right now is that I've been, in the 3rd edition, I became a fan of Eberron probably like around 2007. So I wasn't an immediate adopter of the setting, but it's been my home as a DM pretty much ever since. Throughout, even after ending 3rd edition, I was playing Pathfinder 3E hybrid for a while, and I kind of bounced off of 4E. It just didn't vibe with me, and I didn't have a lot of dedication to the IP at that time. So instead, I was playing Cypher system, and Eberron in Cypher is freaking fantastic. And then we got onto the 5E bandwagon, and then we've just been rolling 5E ever since. And what's the words I'm trying to use? So I've been creating content on DMsGuild for the past, we're just past over 6 years. We're in our 6th year of creating content for 5e on DMsGuild, and this is the first adventure that I've ever created. So like formal published adventure myself. I've done a number of side pieces like Inkwell Games. Inkwell Games has a number of index card adventures. I've done a couple hundred of those as like a side shuffle, and I did the Light of Zaraxis conversion guide in the Spelljammer book that I released this month. That's technically just adding encounters as well. And then the adventures in Chronomancy, I created a number of adventure scenarios for that. But I haven't actually created an adventure tip to tail before. So this is my first foray into full-on adventure design. My co-pilot is Andy Healy, and our editor is Stuart Braz. So hold on, let me just fix. Yeah, that's all fixed up. So this is Twitter. I'm on the X Twitter platform as Phil Kearney. You can follow me there if you're interested. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon to get notifications of when I'm live in the future, which is often. I'm here 11 times per week, 6 days in the mornings, 3 times in the afternoons, including lunchtime today, and then we do evening streams on Mondays and often Thursdays. And so here's the book cover that we created. This was back in episode 40. Here's a full playlist. You can see all 200 episodes that we've generated so far. Book cover was back around episode 40. Everything up till, I want to say, episode 170. Maybe 150 was making different maps inside of this adventure, color maps as well as black and white for print. And I guess without any further ado, we're creating creature tokens right now. So today we're working on a Barghest. Let's fish up our references. I wish I knew who created this art. It was on the Forgotten Realms wiki, and I haven't found reference since, but it's a pretty good. It's a great color reference. So I'm making use of the color referencing, and I'm just gonna continue sallying forth today. So we're just, like I said, we're just building out tokens here. All the different creatures. The adventure is about a cult of necromancers in Karnath, artificially extending or artificially creating and maintaining a manifest zone to the realm of night and undeath, Mabar. So hence the title, Crystals of Mabar. Sustaining a manifest zone for an extended period of time like this is causing the environment in the so the manifest zone was created in a research facility underground in the Carnwood, and maintaining this manifest zone unnaturally is causing energies from Mabar to seep into the region, and it's slowly terraforming the environment, turning the soil into I describe it as Folger's instant crystals. It's basically like this gritty sand substance that, if you grind down into a powder, can be used to fuel necromancy rituals. So it has a lot of value, but difficult to get. So maintaining this manifest zone is allowing access to these rare substances. There's like 5 different types of plants that we have added in this adventure as basically resources that can be harvested as different alchemical or spellcasting resources, spell foci, etc. So there's a lot of arcane value in having a manifest zone sustained like this, and there's a number of interested parties. Like the 12 wants to have access to this place. Ader Academy is interested in the research value of this place. The Gatekeeper Druids want to destroy it. Silver Flame want to destroy it. So those are the immediate factions that have some sort of awareness that the manifest zone exists, and these are different patrons that can recruit and bring your characters into the adventure. I want to grab this and maybe drop it down. Like that. I want to just fix some of this here while I can. Do like that. It feels about natural. Yeah, here. There we go. Scratch that in. With the manifest zone being opened, the Nexus becomes a portal to Mabar directly, and all sorts of demons and monsters can creep through to harass the environment around where the manifest zone is inside the Carnwood, which is another angle for entry into the adventure. Hold on. Yeah, okay. The default patron for the adventure is an outrigging sheriff, in Karnath that has a massive territory. Basically, eastern Karnwood all the way down to Talenta Plains. And with the last war having ended, there is no end to refugees that are attempting to reestablish themselves by claiming basically furrowed land to rebuild and start farming. And since so much of the population has been depleted, and they need food resources to build the population, the government is putting a blind eye to any refugees, regardless of where they come from. If they're farming in Karnath, they have a general don't ask, don't tell policy where we don't care where you came from as long as you don't cause trouble. And so there's a bunch of refugees along the Karnwood that are reporting trouble, which is obnoxious. So they need to have the sheriff go in, clean up and quiet down whatever is happening so it doesn't become a problem and no one has to politically pay attention to what's going on in the outreaches of Karnath. Because the last thing a regrowing population needs is bureaucratic politicians getting a pitching fit about who it is that's farming in their lands. It's just anti-productive to do that. So they want to quiet this down before it becomes an escalating problem. So your characters are recruited and temporarily deputized to assist the sheriff in overseeing what is undoubtedly just undocumented refugee complaints about who knows what. So if you can off the books, well, you're deputized, so you have a badge which gives you the authority to basically ask anything you want to anyone that's in the area. So you have a strong advantage, literally, in social encounters with these different citizens or non-citizens that are setting up farms in the area. So you can arrive with authority and get information from them about what's going on, which leads your characters into the adventure pipeline to find out about, well, yeah, there's people missing, there's weirdness, there's mercenaries in the forest. They're starting to bully us. We don't know what's going on. They don't have any official paperwork to be there. We don't know what their purpose is, and we're scared. And so your sympathetic players can then approach the situation, find out what's going on, realize that there's evil afoot, and then start to resolve it with extreme prejudice. So, but your team doesn't know that going in with the default adventure hook. There's all these alternate adventure hooks like the 12 or the gatekeepers, the Silver Flame Church, that are alternate plot hooks that can lead your team into the team into the adventure knowing different things. They won't have the badge, so they don't have authority to ask people or even like confront the mercenaries that are in the forest, but they'll have different resources available to them and different information going in based on what hook they use. So there's a lot of replayability there for like professional dungeon masters if they want a malleable, highly customizable, different sort of in scenarios. This becomes a really interesting option for them to use as a default introduction to Eberron for people that might not be familiar with it, or it's 8th level. So you can build fairly high level characters and throw a lot of firepower around, but there's plenty of stuff that'll just absolutely end your character. So there's a fun balance there. It's a good adventure. I've play tested it. I want to say I ran the adventure like 7 times with different groups. I've had 3 other DMs run it as well. So I've had a number of people churn through it, and so far all the feedback has been coming back very positive, that if there wasn't an obvious answer to a choice that the players made, they were able to intuit what the answer was supposed to, like what they could do in response to the character's ingenuity based on the amount of information that we provided in the dungeon. So we provided a good baseline for just to be able to run an adventure for folks. So I'm gonna grab that eye color here. Pretty proud of it. It's a good, solid adventure. I'm looking forward to getting this published as well. So it's going to take a little while, obviously, because I'm still working on the art. And then I'm finishing up the edits with Stuart and Andy on this in the evenings on the side. Once the text is resolved, I get to then extract it, just like we did with Spelljammer. I get to extract it, drop it into the here. I'll show you. If you aren't familiar with the Spelljammer project, that just published. Here, I'll take you to that as a bragging right. Here on DMsGuild, it's currently #1 bestseller on the entire website, so I'm pretty thrilled about that. But yeah, if you check out the preview, let's drop down to the Light of Zoraxis conversion guide, so you can see that we are basically the Light of Zoraxis is an adventure for Spelljammer that we've converted using the mechanics that we have in this book. But the point is that we're I did all this layout, some of this layout on stream. Layouts is actually pretty boring to watch. So I can't entertain and create layout at the same time. So that's a challenge for me. So I do most of this off screen in the evenings and time when I'm just not streaming. So, but this is the same kind of level of quality of content that I'm looking to provide in this Eberron adventure. So you can check this thing out. There's a sale for it. It's got over 100 assets for creatures, ships, maps, and other resources and game pieces that people can use to make their Spelljammer adventure go. And I am delivering that same depth of material for this Eberron adventure as well. So check out my stuff. A lot of it I always have extensive free previews that people can check out, and if you like it, consider making purchases to encourage similar transparency. And the more people that buy my stuff, the more I can afford to be generous in providing content for people, so they can get what it is that we're doing here and expand what kind of games they can play with 5e. My biggest kick as a designer is figuring out ways to express different stories, game systems, IPs using the 5e game engine, because I really feel 5e, regardless of the glut that Wizards instills into it, 5e is an incredibly efficient game engine that deserves a lot of respect. And you can see my Eberron Spelljammer orbital campaign design stream as for an example of how malleable the 5e game engine can really be to express different stories, different genres of game. It's really an impressive system, and I'm really happy that I decided to lean into and embrace it. For when did it come out? 2015. I actually got on board with it in 2016, and then Ravnica happened, and then I started designing for it. So in 2016, I was already I was working with Inkwell Games to create their little. They have like these little index cards that have adventures. Like on one side they have a map, and on the other side they have an adventure scenario. I built out like maybe 140 of those, and Inkwell Games is a good company. I think they also did the random dungeon dice that have different shaped dungeon rooms on 6-sided dice. So you just throw a bunch of math rocks, and you just combine them together to make a little mini dungeon. Super freaking cool stuff. If you're a DM, that's a really cool tool to pick up, because it's really easy to make little fast 5-room dungeons. Just take 5d6, roll them, and then make them click together, and then there's your dungeon. I like how this is sitting. I like how this is sitting a lot. I want to grab another color reference here, there, and there. Thanks again to, I don't know who this artist is, but thanks again for creating such awesome stuff. Ba-da-da-ba-da. Dropping some shade here. Lighting's weird on this. Am I not using normal filters? Yeah, everything seems in place. All right, Sally Forth. Let's drop in some shade color here. There is definitely something off. Because I'm using black currently, right? But it's not coming through as black. What is glitching on my bits? Oh. Interesting. That's why. Okay, that makes more sense now. Stitch has a glitch. There. Okay, everything's performing the way I expected to now. Good. Apparently I was using some color on my black and white line art layer. That's a no-burst. But it happened, so there it is. I'm about ready to blend this stuff together. I'm going to just get some highlights in here. Blend in a bit here. Barghests are bad news, man. They're nasty critters. They're demon dogs that can transform into goblins. They're intelligent. They can control... I believe they can control other wolves, hyenas, canines in general. And they're pretty high CR, so they got a lot of firepower. Like their bite will get you. Bad news, dudes. Let's fill that in. Got that face going. Here and they're like that. So far, so good, man. Okay, so this is sitting pretty. I'm going to take all this. I'm going to duplicate this layer here. I'm going to merge this one down. Merge merge this one down. Thank you. Let's add this together. We're going to call it color. Drop that out of view. Let's do a little bit of environment cleanup here. And start sculpting this guy's fur around the colors that we have. Fairly pleased so far. I like doing fur, so this should hopefully be a meditative experience for me. Let me turn off my brain. Okay, hey, like I was saying, I stream 11 days a week, 11 times per week, 6 days. I rest on Sunday. Everyone deserves a rest. So Monday through Friday, I do Eberron assets. Currently, it's creature tokens. Before it was maps. I'm going to be getting back to doing some little map vignettes for drop-in random encounters, just to have some variety and visual assets for environments that the team can mess around with in the Carnwood, in the Manifest Zone. Yeah, random encounter stuff, like where you might run across this Barghest, for example. It could ambush your team while they try to camp in the Carnwood, instead of traveling back to the refugee camp, or the refugee village that instigated them to arrive. If the team decides to camp out, if the team decides to make the village their temporary home, as long as they keep the village safe, there's plenty of people that are willing to encourage and help players being there, which I think is fantastic. It's a really good hub to use if you're going to run multiple sessions with many days. Then using the, I want to get this up to, yeah, 100%. Push that fur around a little bit better instead of making it so hazy. I want it to be more greasy, you know, not tufty fluffy like down. I want it to be a little bit more clumpy and oily. It's appropriate for the Manifest Zone in general, so I want the Barghest to kind of reflect that attitude. There, I'm going to need to find a highlight fur, kind of probably like this. Just pepper that in there. Just add a little pepper to it, little pepper. Beep, 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 beep. Sorry, so the point was is that I'll be streaming today at lunchtime the color mana hex crawl that I've been doing. The Ravnica setting is one of the cornerstone world settings for Magic the Gathering. It's where dual lands and like color pairing came from, and all the names like Golgari and Boros and Azorius, all these descriptive names that describe decks of cards that use two colors specifically, all those color titles came from Ravnica. So Ravnica is a very genre-defining setting inside of the Magic the Gathering universe. And so they converted it into an MTG setting. Basically, it's a municipalis where it basically covers the entire world. And it's controlled by a massive magical bureaucracy, the Azorius, and Orzhov, which is a church, a bank church that basically runs like a religious mafia. It's a fun setting full of like, there's 10 guilds for the 10 color combinations for the 5 different colors of Magic, and every one of these 10 guilds are corrupted in some way. So there's good inside of all of them, and there's horrible nightmare badness inside of all of them. Some of them more one than the other, but they all have their two faces, which I'm happy to dive in at some point to discuss if anyone's interested. I love that stuff, and I recommend anyone that's interested in Magic the Gathering checking out Dice Try, which is a YouTube channel here. I'm a Patreon supporter and big fan of Dice Try videos. So spoiler alert. I mean, sponsored discretion there. I'm a customer as well as a fan. Love me some Dice Try stuff. But so at lunchtime we're making a rubble belt. The rubble belt are ruined regions of the city. The city is the size of an entire world. Like take Mercury and cover it in a city. Like that's Ravnica. Less hot, just size. So there are vast stretches, like thousands of miles, stretches of terrain that used to be city, that are the infrastructure crumbled, natural disasters, meteor strikes, giant landworms tearing up the environment. It goes into waste, and there are untold number of artifacts, treasures, and information that's lost underneath the surface of the overgrown and reclaimed environment. So if you dig underneath that, you'll find all sorts of dungeons and undercity and treasure treasure delving for characters to engage with. And so we're making a Rubble Belt Hexcrawl campaign where the different environments that you move through are the different colors, like plains for white and red for mountains and blue for islands, floating, flying islands more so than aquatic type, but islands nonetheless, and swamps and underdark areas that are exposed to the surface, and then forests, of course, for green. So these five different basic land types become the land types that the team is traversing and engaging with in a hex crawl. So we build unique Magic the Gathering inspired mechanics for hazards, rogue enchantments, and creatures that naturally gravitate towards the different colors of lands that are in this no man's land, the Rubble Belt. So the scenario is your team is stranded there with a bunch of in a caravan of non-combatants that somehow got stranded there in the Rubble Belt, and it's your job to scout ahead in hex crawl fashion to find safe passages for the non-combatant NPCs to be able to slowly move their way through this Rubble Belt to find a way to safety. And so that's the scenario. You're running a Rubble Belt campaign as an escort mission, as an extended escort mission campaign, where the caravan is not only your charge that you're protecting, but it's also an unnamed number of NPCs. So if your character dies, you can swap it out with one of the caravan guards that gets promoted, quote unquote, to scout, joins your team and helps find the next way through. So that's the general scenario of the Rubble Belt campaign, and that's what on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays, like today, I stream development of that campaign from a game developer's perspective. and we are just about finishing up. We still have to assign creatures to the land type, but we've gotten all the enchantment hazards done based off of Magic the Gathering cards. Right now, we're defining different hazards that can expend resources, slow down, or spend mana to resolve different environmental hazards like broken bridges or like falling rocks, whatever. Quicksand, sand traps, stuff like that. Just different natural hazards that would show up in the different types of lands that the team is traversing based on what color it is and what kind of environment you're in. So we're fleshing out those hazards to integrate in with the monsters and enchantment hazards that we've created for the game, so that you're weaving together 2 or 3 different types of hazards together inside of each land tile, and that land tile is going to be a different color randomly. So you can move from swamp into islands or into forest or uphill into mountains. So the environment is going to change as you traverse from tile to tile, leading your escorting your non-com caravan to safety. So you have to pick and choose which tiles you want to take on, explore them, defeat or ally with any creatures and monsters that you find within, disable any enchantments that are going to cause harm to the caravan if they attempt a long rest there. Resolve any hazards that might cause harm to the caravan as they try to traverse the space. And once you secure and conquer that tile, it's safe for your caravan to advance and then take a long rest in that tile. And then you move on to the next tile. So you're just constantly rotating through different color lands with different types of, different mixes of creature, environmental, and magical hazards that'll challenge your team and force them to expend their mana pool. We're starting at 3rd level, and we're going to play test through 9th level. 3 to 9, I think, is a good range for 5e for environmental challenge stuff. By the time they get to 9th level, they should be able to start finding means of getting out on their own without needing rescue. But there's also options for like contacting, like getting access to a message stone, for instance, that'll allow you to request an evacuation from the area if they can find you. So like you get access to the message spell, I think at 7th level. So at that point you can send out a message, but it might take a while for them to find you. So from level 7 to 9, that's basically, you could choose to stay put if you want to, or continue moving forward. We would have to create some sort of contrivance that would prevent you from being able to make use of a message spell like that, because 5e characters just get access to it. So we could have a recommended ban list of spells if you're going to run it as a campaign yourself. Like, here's a list of spells that we recommend that you ban to help facilitate the play style, and message would obviously be the number one contender, because if you can, because you got sent out there by somebody, if you can reach back to them and say, hey, we're stranded here, and they'll be like, okay, hold on, we'll zoom in on you and get you out of there ASAP. Like, that incentivizes your team to stay still so they can find you. Or they could be like, yeah, we need you to move forward to find this different location. Like, if you find a communications tower, they can be like, yeah, stay there. Or if you just can cast them, if like you just learn and can cast message, then hold on. Then yeah, as soon as you hit 7th level, you take message, and then let's boot scoot out of here. So we have to resolve the ban list, as it were. It's fine. DMs can have ban lists for backgrounds, species, ancestries, I guess is what we're calling it these days. Feats, spells, anything that a DM thinks is going to break immersion or potentially ruin the fun of the game has rights to have a ban list of like these are things that exist inside of the game but aren't healthy for the story we're attempting to tell today. So DMs should feel confident to say no or to have a list of stuff. It's like, you know, these are things that you can and can't do. And knowing what those are ahead of time makes players not feel like you're being an adversary. That's important. You can have your ban list, but try to know what it is up front before they make their characters, so they know what they can expect to have access to in the future. Otherwise, it can feel like you're trying to pull the rug out from underneath them, or like cheat them of an opportunity that they thought they would have access to. If you're up front, it's like, yeah, there's no resurrection magic, there's no message spell, there's no teleportation. Have at it. You know, like, yeah, okay, we understand the parameters of this. What about Misty Hop? It's like, yeah. Misty Hop is a combat teleport. That's fine. I just mean teleport. Or like at 9th level, Plane Shift, I think, is a 7th level spell, so that's beyond the scope of the campaign. But you could also do things like Tree Stride allows you to jump from one green tile to another green tile that you're aware of. So you can hop, step, and teleport around a map that you've explored and properly, explored is the word. I'm mincing on that crest a lot, but it's you see how it's like off angled. I'm trying to fix that. Maybe I can distort. Yeah, that feels better. Let's do like that. Add some highlights in like that, scratch them into the tuft so they're more like highlights than anything. There, like that. That helps build shape and define the form instead of it just being a big fuzzy bullywug. Roly-poly is the word I was looking for. Instead of being a big fuzzy roly-poly on its back, it becomes an actual mane. Fur crest? Is that what I don't know. It's not really a mane. Manes like form up around the face. This is more like a crest, I guess. Still feels a little off. Like copy paste, copy pasta. Yeah, it feels better. Now it's starting to feel kind of toupee-like, so I need to push up the spikiness on here to get a rise, as it were. That feels right-ish. Dump, 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 dump. Let's scratch that into shape here. There we go. Yeah, I think I'm happy with that. This creature's just on a random encounter table. It's not really important to the adventure, like, at all. Although I could see Barghests being the main villain in any number of adventures, just not this one. There are some lovely songbirds chirping outside my window. Do I have? Yeah, I have a timer going. Okay, good. Let's do a little bit of periphery cleanup here for now. I am not quite gonna get this done today. I am pleased with the progress, though. We are making very good ground. So yeah, lunchtime today we'll be developing the Rebel Beltland crawl. Tomorrow, Saturday morning, is my commission workbench. I don't quite have. I have a commission that's going to be coming on. I think I'm going to be doing like an environmental painting or something. I'm not sure of all the details yet, but I've got a commission that's heading this way that we will be doing on Saturdays in upcoming weeks. But that hasn't come online yet. So as it is, my Saturday is free this weekend. I'll be working on Eberron almost all day off screen, but during my stream, I'm going to be doing a DM recap of the Eberron orbital asteroid belt mining campaign that my home table is running. Yeah, so I built the Rebel Belt campaign mechanics here on stream throughout February, and the campaign is live now. So they just finished their first mission, and we're going to be doing an update based on the results of that mission. and using that as a jump-off point for the next mission, because it's episodic by nature, because it's a West March style campaign where players can like drop in, drop out, West March style. Do some pickup. Like, we have 6 people on our rosters, but we haven't had more than 5 at a time yet. It's often 4 players, which is a great mix. But I could run a game as few as 3, and 6 would be my absolute max in the style of game that we're running right now. It's a very 5e light mechanic that's more narrative, Gonzo, dungeon crawl classic style, or Shadow Dark-esque than it is traditional 5e combat simulator. It's a very loose, fluid narrative system, and I'm looking forward to debriefing on how the campaign went and doing a guild log update for the team to use as their jump-off point for the next adventure that they choose. So we run an adventure, and I like to finish one in, say, 3 or 4 hours. And when we once we finish an adventure, we extract, debrief back at home base. And, in character, they go back, debrief at home base, get an update on where the guild is at, any new trouble that's cropped up in a sort of bulletin board style of pick your own adventure. And then once they decide what problems they want to deal with directly themselves, all the other problems that they chose to not directly address, they then assign for their guild to try to resolve and report back if there's any trouble. The players act both as the leadership of the guild as well as the minions inside of the guild, using different, like the leaders of the guild don't even have characters. They're just this nebulous corporate entity that's in charge of the organization. And then at the adventure level, you're playing a number of different types of specialists or mercenaries to, quote unquote, resolve whatever problems arise that need to be dealt with. So there's different scales that the team is operating on, and the further you scale out away from individual characters, the more abstract the die rolls that you do become. Like, you can resolve an entire adventure with NPCs with a single ability check, or a skill challenge if you want to zoom in a little bit, or with individual characters if you want to micromanage it. And the players can use the same characters or create new characters each adventure. Like, if they want to have one jack of all trades character that goes on danger missions in general, like that's their specialist, then they can do that until that character dies, and then they have to build a new specialist. There is no resurrection. So once your character is dead, the character is dead. So if you have like a darling that you don't want to lose, you could run that character, you could risk that character on specific missions, like low risk missions, to keep their personality alive inside of the guild to potentially grow ranks. And you can create throwaway characters that we're going to do an Ocean's 11 espionage mission to steal spell research, so that we can develop our own, like, teleportation or whatever. And so we have to steal that from another organization that has it. So we're going to run a magical heist mission, and there's a high chance of our characters being caught and deaded. So let's not risk our primary characters, and let's just build a throwaway heist team that has all the skills and specializations that we want to increase our chance of success, and keep our darling jack of all trade characters in the back for if something goes caterwonk and we have to do like an extraction mission or a run and gun mission or negotiations or whatever it is that they want their characters to do. We have the flexibility to be able to integrate those different types of adventure with different types of characters. So the players are very much operating this nebulous organization of untold number of NPCs that are performing tasks of different severity, danger, importance, all under the name. I'm scratching my leg. All under the name of the guild that they control. Yeah, that tuft is off. I don't like this. I don't like this angle over here. It's off. I need to. bring that in. I'm spending a ridiculous amount of time on this main. But I guess it, you know, it is what it is. There we go. That's feeling pretty good. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. So we're getting close to done with this one. It's just a little 1-inch 300 by 300 pixel token. Like, this is 300 pixels wide, 300 pixels tall. It's a very small space. It's a little pixely when you zoom in on it, but this is about the resolution that you would expect to see it at best on like Roll20 VTT. Like, you don't really need to be zoomed in any more than this. So this level of resolution is sufficient for this token. I don't need to make a 300 DPI 8-inch by 8-inch portrait of a freaking Barghest that may or may not ever actually be in the adventure, depending on what you roll on your random table and how often you roll on it. So, like, the Barghest is an outlier, but I wanted to have an illustration of it in case it's something that comes up. Chunky boy. That foreshortening is starting to get a little wonky. That's starting to do a little better. Let's bigger it. Yeah, that's feeling better. Get that dot out of the way. Merge down. What time is it? Hey, oh, 7:35. Yeah, we still got some time. Let's keep scratching at this guy. Close to done, though. I'm getting there. Meow. I go scratching at that main again. Over and over again until I can finally say I'm happy with it. When will that be? God knows. Yeah, it's feeling better. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. Let's... Looks so mangy. I think it's perfect. If you catch my if you're interested in any of my prior live streams, last night's the first episode of the massive ship design for the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration supplement that we created. We're converting Vokath's base into a battle station to fight against the Zeraxian fleet that comes looking for trouble during the adventure. It's gonna be really, really fun when it's done. Clean that up a bit. I'm really leaning into my image here. Don't mind me. Nice. I like how this is turning out. Excuse me for a second. There's a weirdness in the sky. Yeah, I don't know what that was. It's like it sounded like a really low altitude jet, but it lasted for a super long time. Was just filling the sky. I'm like, what is that noise? It's like for 30 seconds. It's like, wow, that's goofy. It was an unnatural sound. So I had to poke my head out to see if, the world was ending yet or not. Like, I would not want that to be my normal sound that I had to endure every day of my life. That would be horrible. I feel like it disappeared for a while. Down my own thoughts, and that's an indication that I am really tired. This guy's looking pretty good though, man. I am happy. Give him a reddish ton. There we go. Evil doggo. That's my puppy. And there's that sound again. I guess Boeing's flying planes. I'm near one of the Boeing research airports, but I normally don't hear stuff like this. So they must be screwing around with something special. I like that. I think I'm pretty happy with this pupper. There we go. That's all I really needed. That's all I really needed. Now, yes, that's feeling so much better now. I am happy here. Just a little bit of manginess here in the front. Yeah. It feels pretty good. Get some grit out of the way. Grit that up a bit. I think I can call this pretty much done. Let's clean up these points here. Bring that in a bit. Yeah. I think as a token, I'm pretty happy with this. See if I can clean up that fuzziness a touch. Yeah, I think I'm good with that. So let's yeah, it's 7:52. My alarm's about to go off for me to start my day anyway. So let's just call this a bar guest, and we are going to be back in about 5 hours ish, 5.5 hours maybe. It's 8 o'clock here in Seattle, so I'll probably be back on around 1:30 today to continue building the Rubble Belt, Ravnica Rubble Belt, Colorland Hexcrawl campaign toolkit. Blah, that we're building to playtest the Martial Power System. So, if you think any of this stuff is cool, if you like my design work, you like the books that I build on DMsGuild, if you like my artwork, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon to get notifications when I'm around in the future. And I will see you guys hopefully at lunchtime today. So, see you then.